Welcome to the Slightly Greener Life podcast. This is your host, Tanya Harris. I am an award-winning environmental toxin expert, best-selling author, and mother of three. I created this podcast as a place to help busy moms ditch the overwhelm and start living a low-toxin life. Now, let's get into this week's episode. Welcome to the Slightly Greener Life, episode 12. In today's episode, we're going to dig into 4 simple steps you can take that will make a big impact when it comes to reducing harmful chemicals in your home without the overwhelm. It can be hard to know where to start when it comes to reducing toxic chemicals, but just know that whatever step you take is an important step for your health and for your family's health. And we don't have to be perfect about it. And honestly, we can't be. We can't avoid every single harmful chemical. But we can take steps to reduce our exposure when we can. We have more control than we think we do. And I think that's very refreshing because I don't know about you, but I thought I had to be perfect when I was first starting out. I was going to have the perfect, as few toxic chemicals as can be house, and everything was going to be great. Not so much. I was really freaking out at what I had left, which was almost nothing. And forget about the cleaning products, that really threw me over the edge. You might remember me talking about crying on the floor in front of my cabinet under the sink and just tossing cleaners into a garbage bag, wondering, now what am I going to do? And how on earth am I going to replace all of this stuff without going broke? So I really drove myself and my family crazy. And what I was doing was I was building a lifestyle that we resented. But luckily, I went through all that, so I can be here to tell you that it doesn't have to be that way, and it shouldn't. Whether you're just starting out or you have been consistently buying safer products and detoxing your home, today's tips will help free up even more of your time. So one of the questions I'm asked most is, what are these smaller steps that I can take that will get me the biggest results when it comes to detoxing my home? Because again, it can be so overwhelming. So I believe that there are 4 main steps that you can take. And whether you do 1 or 2 of these at a time or do them all, it can really have a big impact on your family's health. Even better, there's steps that once you take them, you're really done. These are things that set up a few main areas of your home to be as non-toxic as possible. So to answer the question of what are some of the quickest, easiest things I can do to detox my home, I created these 4 steps that I abbreviate by calling them READ, or R-E-A-D. So R is to replace. And in here, we're talking about replacing plastics around your foods and beverages. E is to eat organic as often as possible. A is to avoid artificial fragrance. And D is to, you're not going to this one, but I promise it's not as bad as it sounds, dust. So just like with most of these episodes, don't worry about taking notes here, especially if you're listening to this when you're out and about, because I'll have a downloadable guide with all of these steps on my website at slightlygreener.com/episode 12. Again, whether you do all of these steps right away or if you just concentrate on 1 or 2 at a time, they will have a big impact on reducing your exposure to harmful chemicals in your home. So let's jump right in and start with R, which is to replace plastics around your foods and beverages. We talked about this in episode 7, called Why BPA-Free Isn't Always Safer. So if you listen to that, you'll remember that plastic food storage containers and reusable water bottles can contain chemicals such as BPA and phthalates, which are chemicals that are linked to hormone disruption, which can affect just about any function of the body. They are also linked to depression and anxiety, as well as behavior and learning issues in children. And these chemicals can leach from food storage containers, reusable water bottles, and even your plastic cooking utensils, especially when they're heated. So one thing you can do is don't put these items into the dishwasher or place hot foods or drinks in them, or even stir hot foods with plastic cooking utensils. And don't leave plastic water bottles in a hot car. I talk more about the reason why in episode 7. So if you haven't listened to that yet, I'd recommend doing that. We also go more in depth about why BPA-free isn't the safest option because of the substitutes that are used. But anyway, back to this episode. The great news is that there are simple things that you can do to reduce your exposure to these chemicals. One of the things you can do is replace food containers, your plastic food containers, and reusable plastic water bottles with glass and stainless steel options. There's brands such as Pyrex and Snapware, and they have great glass options to replace food storage containers. And they do have plastic lids, so I recommend not placing the lid on a hot food item until that food has cooled down, and then don't let the food touch the lid. And when it comes to reusable water bottles, there's brands such as Life Factory and Swell, which are great options. And Life Factory has glass bottles, beverage glasses, and even food storage containers and baby bottles that are surrounded by silicone. So they're hard to break. And believe me, I've dropped them. So they're a great option for glass. And Swell also has stainless steel options available in really fun patterns. So they're fun to pick out and bring with you. And I think they have some food options as well. But when it comes to replacing all of your plastic food storage containers and your reusable water bottles, I know that can be overwhelming. So again, this is where that choose your top 1 or 2 rule that I have comes in. And that's on one of the first couple episodes also. But that's basically choosing your top 1 or 2 most used items and just replacing those first. And then you can go on from there and just replace as you have time to. Next up is E, eat organic as much as possible. So pesticides have been shown to be toxic to the brain and nervous system, and they affect the endocrine system, which again regulates every function of the body. And they've been linked to things like ADHD in children. But studies have shown that eating organic for just several days can greatly reduce the levels of pesticides in the body. And I know it's not always possible to eat strictly organic. So one thing you can do is follow the environmental working groups, Dirty Dozen and Clean 15 lists. So the environmental working group studied pesticide levels on produce, and they separated them into 2 groups. The first one is the produce that's listed on the Dirty Dozen list were found to have the highest levels of pesticides. So these are the ones that should be bought organic if possible. And then the produce on the Clean 15 list had the lowest levels of pesticide residues, and those can be bought conventionally grown, meaning not organic, as opposed to buying them organic. So what I recommend is really think about the produce that you buy and write those down, and then take a look at the Dirty Dozen and Clean 15 lists, which I'll link to in the show notes at slightlygreener.com/episode 12, and make a list of that you can keep with you of the produce that you should buy organic if possible, and which produce that doesn't matter as much. Now, when you go to the store, you'll be confident in knowing what to buy. But when in doubt, if the store doesn't have your produce in the organic version, overall, just remember it's better to buy fresh produce and consume whole foods, whether it's organic or not, because it's a better option than buying processed foods. So next up is A, which is avoid artificial fragrance. So you might remember me saying that the term fragrance may be just one word, but it can be made up of dozens of different ingredients. Artificial fragrance is considered to be a trade secret, so its individual ingredients are not required to be listed on the label. And many of these ingredients can be toxic. So fragrance can contain things like cancer causers, allergens, respiratory irritants, and even neurotoxins, meaning that they're toxic to the brain and nervous system. Fragrance is in a lot of our everyday chemicals, but again, there are safer solutions that are really simple. But some common things in our homes that can contain artificial fragrance include things like candles, air freshening sprays, plug-in air fresheners, and cleaning products. And these cleaning products can also off-gas into the air, even when they're just sitting in the cabinet, not being used. Believe it or not, a lot of personal care products, even things like eyeshadow, lip gloss, moisturizer, or face wash and shampoos, conditioners, shaving cream, you name it. And of course, body spray and perfumes have fragrance too. But again, there's very simple steps that you can take to reduce your exposure to fragrance. And the first step is to know what to look for on the label. So beware of products that have fragrance or parfum listed, and look for things like scented with pure essential oils that list the actual oils on the ingredient label. If you like candles like I do, you can use battery-powered candles if it's the ambiance, to use a fancy word, of candles that you like. Or you can buy a safer candle that is scented with pure essential oils and that uses coconut, soy, or beeswax as the base. And a couple of the candle brands I like are Pure Plant Home and Fontana candles. Another way to lightly scent your home is to diffuse essential oils. And lemon and other citrus oils make a great light scent for spring and summer. And then essential oils such as a combination of cinnamon, clove, and orange oils make really amazing scents for the fall and winter. Because if you're like me, I really love my fall scents. So I always loved to have a candle burning in the fall, but it really does come at a health cost, unfortunately. But these essential oils are a great option. You can also avoid using plug-in or spray air fresheners. And you won't miss these if you can diffuse essential oils, or even better, if you can get used to your house not smelling like fresh flowers or clean laundry detergent. You can also open windows if possible and get some fresh air into your home. Or you can use baking soda to absorb odors in carpets or on upholstered furniture. And you can also leave a box open in areas like stuffy small closets or bathrooms. And there's more info on a lot of different ways to absorb odor with baking soda in episode 8. But these are all really just simple ways to freshen the air in our homes without the harmful chemicals. All right, the last step is D for dust. And believe it or not, common household dust is one of the biggest exposures to toxins in our homes. A study from George Washington University found things like flame retardants, hormone disruptors, and even lead in common household dust. Now, before you hit stop on this podcast because you think I'm going to tell you that you have to dust your house all day, every day, if you know me by now, you know I'm not going to tell you that. I don't walk into every room with a dusting cloth or follow my family around with a vacuum or a dust rag. I'm also all about the smallest amount of work that you can do that has the biggest impact. So again, you don't have to dust your entire house every day, but if you can concentrate on dusting the areas where your family spends the most time, which is typically like a family room or bedrooms or kids' play areas, if you can just do that once a week, that will make a big difference. And then you can just resume a normal cleaning schedule of every other week or so for the rest of your home. And the good thing about a regular dusting schedule is that after a couple of months of consistent dusting and getting that routine down, the amount of dust in your home can really decrease, making it much easier and quicker to get that dusting done. There are a few other simple steps you can do too to help keep dust at bay. So one of them is to be sure to take shoes off before you enter your house, because it is surprising what can be dragged in from the bottom of your shoes. So leaving them at the door is a good idea, because whatever comes in on the bottom of your shoes can end up in your household dust. Next, you can vacuum with a HEPA filter vacuum to remove more dust particles as well as trap them, because regular vacuums can actually recirculate those particles back into the air. And when it comes to mopping or sweeping, mopping is a better option than sweeping, because sweeping can really just push that dust around and debris. And the same goes for dusting. Dry dusting with a feather duster doesn't grab the dust particles, it really just pushes them around. So one of the best ways to dust is with a microfiber cloth, which can actually attract and can trap dust, and use that lightly moistened with something as simple as water or even a non-toxic dusting spray. And the last tip for keeping dust at bay is to change your furnace filter regularly, and this includes in the summer. The reason why is because the central air conditioners and furnaces use the same air handler where the filter is located. So the air is still running through the filter even in the summer months when the air conditioner is on. So changing the filter in the summer can help trap more particles like pollen if windows are commonly open. And changing the filter regularly year-round can not only keep your home's air quality cleaner, but it can also extend the life of your air conditioner and your furnace. So that's it. Those are my 4 tips for a healthy home jumpstart. You can work on them 1 or 2 at a time or do all 4. Either way, you'll make a big difference in the health of your home and your family. And remember, you can download these tips on my website to keep them handy at slightlygreener.com/episode 12. And if you'd like to find out what others are doing to go slightly greener, I'd love if you'd want to join my free Facebook community. The link to that will be listed on my website in the show notes also, or you can search Slightly Greener Community on Facebook to request to join. Thanks for joining me this week, and I'll see you in the next episode. Are you tired of trying to figure out which ingredients are safe and which products are truly safer? The Slightly Greener membership is here to help you eliminate any guesswork. With an easy step-by-step process and a supportive community, you'll learn how to transition into a low-toxic lifestyle with just a few small changes at a time. This membership will provide you with the knowledge, tools, and support you need to keep your home looking and feeling healthy without turning your lifestyle upside down. You'll learn which ingredients to avoid and which brands are truly safer, so that your search for safe products becomes easy and automatic. Imagine being able to make simple swaps that significantly reduce toxins in your home without sacrificing convenience or comfort. No more hours of researching trying to find safe products and no more guessing. I'll take the guesswork and hours of research off your plate, leaving you with more time to enjoy living a low-toxin lifestyle. Join the membership today and be free of worrying if your products may contain hidden toxic chemicals or worse, greenwashed formulas that are marketed as all natural or eco-friendly that turn out to be anything but. So empower yourself with this knowledge so that you can keep your family safe while saving money, time, and your sanity. Find out more at slightlygreener.com/membership. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Slightly Greener Life podcast. Please take a moment to subscribe to the show, and then be sure to share it with a friend who you know wants simple steps to living in this complex world. I'll see you next time.